Hi, welcome to another tutorial. Today we're going to do one of my favorite tutorials. This is about sharpening using edge contrast. Now what we're going to do, there are a lot of different ways that you can sharpen within Photoshop, and we're going to talk about a couple different ways, and then I'm going to show you a different one. What happens when you use the two most popular filters that you might use here in Photoshop? If you go to Filter Sharpen, you will see either Unsharp Mask, where you have these different bars here in the little preview pane. You have all these different bars that you can use, and it gets kind of confusing. And what that one is trying to do, as well as what this one right here is trying to do, Smart Sharpen, and this is very confusing. Look at all these different options and everything that you have to deal with. It gets very, very confusing on what are the correct settings. What they're all trying to do is just sharpen the edges of a picture. They're not trying to do any sharpening here in the flat areas here where there are no edges, but they actually do affect the image in those areas. I'm going to show you a way that you literally will leave these areas alone that don't need sharpened, these flat areas of color, and you will just sharpen the edges of an image using edge contrast, and it's a very cool way to do it. What we're going to do, the very first thing we're going to do, is create a copy of our background layer. You see our background layer here. Now, I'm going to hit Control J, or if you're on a Mac, it's Command J. And you see what happens here, we've got an exact duplicate of the background layer. Now, while this area is selected, while layer 1 is selected, what we're going to do is go up to Filter, and we're going to come down to Other, and go to High Pass, which is one of those filters that every time I looked at it, I never understood what it was for, and it just made no sense, so I ignored it. High Pass. It looks like I've completely messed up the image. I have not. Now, if you see the little preview pane here, the preview box. Now, as you see here in the image, you see a faint outline of the picture. Now, you adjust it accordingly, just with one slide bar. Remember how all those other slide bars we saw in the other filters? You only have one slide bar to deal with here. What I'm going to do is set it to where what you see is a faint outline. It's fairly black, fairly clear, the edges in the picture. These are just the edges. You notice you see nothing in the area where the flat colors were. It's because this filter is doing nothing to affect those areas. Where the gray is, there's no effect at all. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to come back over to this layer right here, layer 1. And see this little box here that says Normal? I'm going to drag it down to Overlay. And what we have actually done here is sharpen the image. And if you don't believe me, watch this. I'm going to turn off this layer and watch the difference in the look. Look at her eyes. Look at the difference in the sharpness. What I'm going to do here is bring up a before and after picture where you can see the difference between the two. You see it before. Look at her eyes. Look at the eyelashes, and take a look and see just how clear. Right here you can see the eyelashes, and then you look right over here. Look at how sharp. I hope that's coming through on the video, but look at how sharp and crisp and clear that is. And what you haven't done at all is mess with any of the area out here. All of these areas, they look perfectly good. Now, there are a couple of different options that you can do here. You can still have, even after you've done this, in case there's a little too much sharpening, instead of having overlay over here, you can bring it back down to soft light. And soft light is going to soften that effect a little bit. It's not quite, it's basically just cutting back a little bit on the sharpness. It's going to be hard to see right now as you look through this. But let's say you didn't get it quite sharp enough and you want to go a little sharper than you had on overlay. You come over here to hard light, you select hard light, and it sharpens it even more. And that's one way you can do it. And let me show you the three different options here, the three different versions that you can see, where soft light is a little bit less sharp, overlay a little more, and hard light even a little more than that. This is the original. I mean, this is soft light right here. You see how this is a little sharper. Again, look around the eyes. And then if you go, this is overlay, and this is hard light. You see how much more clear that is there. So that's three different ways that you can go back and make your adjustments. Now, my suggestion also, what you can do Once you've got this on overlay, if you want to soften it just a little bit, another way to do that is come to the opacity on this layer, and if you click right on the word opacity and drag to the left, you'll see this, the effect goes away. What you're doing is seeing down to the layer below it. So you can just drag, and you see how you're changing the opacity right there. That's how you can do that. At the end, what I do is flatten the image. You can either come here and click flatten image, or you can merge visible. You can hit Control E because it'll merge the one layer down. You can hit any of those things. You flatten the image, and right there you have a completed and wonderfully sharpened image using edge contrast by using the high pass tool. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, please go ahead and comment in the comment box below if this is on YouTube, or drop us a line at info@fstop.club.